Uh, Our next speaker is, excuse me here, Janelle Hangen from EDF's tech team.
Woo! Thanks so much for coming, everybody. It's so nice to see you. I was really nervous about having a last day of the week talk, but now I look out and I see a bunch of friends, so it's actually much easier. So I am from the Environmental Defense Fund Ocean Technology Solutions team, and as many of you know, I've been working on a collaboration around the world looking at electronic reporting apps, and I'm gonna walk around because standing still isn't my thing. So my agenda is just an agenda about, apparently I can't walk around because this doesn't work if I do that. It's not letting me change slides, by the way. I don't know. Are you clicking it or am I? Oh, it's me. Okay, so basically I'm not gonna do this slide. So project scope. We have a global sampling of electronic reporting apps. We tried to reach out to about 30 different apps being developed and learned a lot about the options that are out there. Basically, when I say electronic reporting app, I'm talking about small-scale fisheries or smaller-scale fisheries collecting fisheries data, catch and effort data, using a phone or a tablet. And so we wanted to see if there were commonalities in these experiences and common threads that we could pull on and that we could try to learn from, or learn from successes and learn from challenges. And so our approach was three-pronged. We did a literature review to see what was out there in the landscape of electronic reporting. We also tried to catalog every app in the world, which if you know, that's not possible. And that's why I'd love to have input from any of you working in this space, because I know we don't have a complete list. And then we did interviews. And I think about 4 or 5 different countries represented here were a part of that process, which is really exciting. And we were able to hear from 15 different folks on the interviews. So for the landscape, we saw that there was a lot of options out there, and they kind of varied in price and capability, and kind of ranging together, like the more bells and whistles, the higher the price. And then there's a lot of momentum. Some policies are moving towards, please collect this data. Some communities want to collect the data, even on paper and pen, and they've never done that before. And so people are moving towards more electronic reporting. And also there are policies in Japan, Iceland, and the US and other places that are really inspiring, kind of moving pro-technology and pro-reporting. And there's just a lot of roadblocks in this space, and so I kind of get into that a little bit here in this talk. So this is a really ugly slide of a snapshot of the sample of the catalog of apps. So I don't have all the apps, and so like I said, I'd love to know what apps you're working with, but the catalog in general will be kind of who is it, a link to the app, where is it being used, what is it being used for, and maybe some high-level statistics. But we really just wanted people working in this space and people interested in working in electronic reporting or working with an app to have some somewhere to go. And maybe this could be a live list online, maybe on the SAFET website. We have a tech provider database on there already, so maybe there's some application there. So here's a map of the world, and just kind of showing you where we had interviews, which we were really excited to get this kind of spread. So you've got the number of interviews next to the country there, and I know we're limited on time, so I'm already at 6.5 minutes. Oh, no, I have 6.5 minutes left. Woo. So Peru, we spoke with a really interesting project there. Prodelfinis is a nonprofit in Peru that uses Apiscar and actually developed Apiscar for the northern Peruvian hake fisheries. And they really used this tool to meet the needs of the community, and the communities are really benefiting from it, because a main success here is that Prodelfinis creates monthly bulletins that are actually shared back with the community. And it used to be that it took months or years to request data from the government to see what's in the water, what's being taken out of the water. And now they get this information much faster. And I'm adding little quotes here from the people I interviewed, but Joanna at Prodelfinis said that we need to clarify what the community wants and make the application adjusted to their needs, which I think everybody can relate to. Hopping over here to Indonesia, terima kasih for participating. Veracatch, or specifically Harlisa at EDF, worked with Max and Julian to work with Fisheries app, and they worked with the local government and the local research institute to collect interesting and new performance indicators and collect data in a new way so that the data could be more easily entered into the government system. And there's been a lot of successes with this project. One in particular that I would love to highlight is that Fisheries app is very adaptable. It was actually designed for Canadian industrial fisheries, but it's being used in small-scale fisheries in other languages, and is, you can change the species, the gear, the language, and a lot of the outputs and the interaction. And so we find that a really big success. And let's see if this isn't working again. Oh, so Harlisa said that we need to create enabling conditions and readiness of the users before you launch an app. And I think that's also a really good point. Make sure you're building in that front time to train people and, keep that capacity building at the forefront. So hopping up to Iceland, which we have them here, which is so exciting. They were a unique example for this study. I had a friend of a friend who introduced me to them, and in Iceland, they actually have multiple electronic reporting apps that they offer through the government. They originally developed their own app in 2018, and then now they have 5 that have been developed by providers. And part of their success has been policy-driven. They, this year, actually now have a breakthrough policy that requires fishers to choose one of the apps, which is a really kind of like an amazing goal to get to. Like it's a kind of a shining star, in my opinion. And Dorothea, who's here, or Dora, she says that having reporting regulations really drive the change, and that nobody's going to collect this data unless they're made to. So I think that's very true in a lot of cases. I appreciate that honesty. Let's see, click. All right, so I was going to list off a bunch of challenges here, and it was going to be really depressing. So instead, I kind of turned the language around and flipped it on its head, and I just decided these are opportunities. So build trust. We've already talked about that all week, how important trust is, and I think not just trust with the relationships, but trust in where does the data go? How is it going to be used? Because people want to know this. That's a really big question for people sharing this really private information sometimes, especially fishers. Protect phones near water, please. Everybody's so nervous to use their phone near water, and it seems like an obvious thing, but we still haven't figured this out. And we're like, oh, they all have smartphones. They'll use them to collect data. But like with fish slime and water and a dock there, like it's just, we need to think of new ways to make that a little bit safer. So yeah, sustain the work, bring all ages of the fishing community along with you, develop appropriate training plans, think about connectivity, and engage policy makers. And then this is a little bit about the successes that we heard about in our interviews, which is partnerships. We've heard that all week, how important partnerships are. I think we can all agree with that. Including stakeholders along the whole process from the idea to implementation, and customizing things like the Veracatch app, making it adaptable, which also helps make it scalable. And then investing and thinking about the long-term impacts, like having a 1-year pilot isn't really gonna help anybody in the long run. So what's next? So let's see. We're finalizing a white paper. Supposedly some other version of me is doing that right now. And we're gonna continue to grow and engage with this community. And we are hoping to collaborate with other partners working in this space. I have this bit.ly link here, which I would have done the QR code thing. If you want this link, I'm happy to share it with you or take a picture. I have it on my last slide too. But basically, it's just wanting to know, are you working with an ER app? Do you want to be a part of this community? Do you just want to have coffee? Whatever, I'm totally down. And yeah, I'm here. My name is Janelle, and you see my contact information. And thank you so much for your time.